Hello everyone, sometimes life gives you a pain so sharp it feels like it split your soul. The one you gave your heart to, your time, your loyalty, your everything, walked away. Not just walked away, but chose someone else. And here you are, crushed, confused, questioning your worth. He left you, not just left you, he replaced you. Like everything you gave, everything you were suddenly meant nothing. And now you're sitting there, wondering what she has that you didn't. But let me stop you right there. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of the version of you he never saw coming. But let me tell you this, don't chase, don't beg, don't cry to the world. Instead, rise, because the greatest response to being left is not revenge, it's reinvention. You don't need to prove yourself to him. You need to prove yourself to you. When someone walks away from you, especially for someone else, it hits you like a storm you never saw coming. The pain is real, it's raw, it's deep. You feel abandoned, betrayed, discarded, like you weren't enough. But let me tell you something vital. This pain you're feeling is not your end. It's your beginning, a sacred, divine opportunity for rebirth. You see, pain is a teacher. It doesn't come into your life to destroy you. It comes to awaken you. It pulls the curtain back on everything you ignored. The parts of yourself you neglected, the red flags you excused, the standards you lowered. Pain shows you who you are pretending to be and invites you to finally become who you were born to be. The energy you're pouring into questioning your worth, replaying every moment and wondering why, that same energy can be turned into fuel. Let every tear you cried water the seeds of your greatness. Let every sleepless night become a chapter in your comeback story. This is not the time to collapse. This is the time to construct. Build yourself piece by piece. Rebuild your self-respect, your strength, your self-love. Start small if you have to. One habit, one boundary at a time. Because every time you choose growth over grief, every time you act from strength instead of suffering, you are silently telling the universe, I may have been broken, but I am not defeated. And here's the truth no one tells you. The very pain that crushed you today is the reason you'll rise tomorrow. The person who left you doesn't hold the pen to your story. You do. So write something powerful. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that even shattered pieces can be rearranged into something more beautiful than before. You're not just healing, you're evolving. You're not just moving on, you're moving up. When someone walks away from your life, especially for someone else, there's a loud urge inside you to explain, to defend, to make them see what they lost. You might want to speak up, post quotes, drop hints, or send messages filled with emotion, thinking maybe, just maybe, it will make them realize your worth. But here's the real power move. Go silent. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not defeat. Silence is strategy. Because silence creates space. And in that space, people begin to feel the weight of your absence. While noise demands attention, silence commands reflection. When you're no longer calling, texting, checking in, or reacting, the dynamics shift. He doesn't get the satisfaction of knowing you're still emotionally available. He doesn't get the assurance that you're still waiting in the shadows, hoping he'll come back. Suddenly, you're a mystery, and mystery is power. Going private means pulling back your energy from the public eye. Stop sharing your pain online. Don't give him the satisfaction of seeing you spiral. You don't need to broadcast your healing, just live it. Make your moves in silence. Let the world wonder how you're glowing without saying a word. This silence isn't about pretending. It's about preserving. When you go quiet, you're no longer wasting energy trying to explain your worth to someone who chose to forget it. Instead, you're conserving that energy to rebuild your life. You're redirecting your focus from him to you, from brokenness to rebirth. And yes, he will notice. He'll notice when the phone doesn't light up with your name. He'll notice when your presence vanishes from his feed. He'll notice when your energy isn't orbiting around his world anymore. He'll start to feel the emptiness he created. But now it's his to carry. So go silent not to hurt him, but to heal you. Go private not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting the sacred work happening within you. This is your cocoon phase, and when you emerge, you won't be crawling back, you'll be flying forward. When someone chooses someone else over you, it can leave you feeling like you weren't good enough. That thought? It's a lie, a dangerous lie, but it's one that many believe in those quiet, lonely moments. You start to doubt yourself, compare yourself, and question your value. And that's exactly why you must do the one thing that will shake the ground beneath him. Level up in every area of your life. Let this heartbreak be your turning point, not your breaking point. Start with your mind, because every transformation begins there. Fill your thoughts with truth, with wisdom, with perspective. Read, learn, feed your brain. The more knowledge you gain, the more confident and grounded you become. Train your mind to shift from, why did he leave me? To what can I learn from this? Stop playing the victim in a story that you can now rewrite. Then nurture your emotional growth. Heal the parts of you that clung to someone who could leave so easily. Face the patterns you ignored, the red flags you justified, and the versions of yourself you suppressed just to keep him happy. Begin to build emotional independence. Create boundaries. Learn to sit with your feelings without being ruled by them. You're not just getting over someone, you're getting back to yourself. And don't forget the physical level up. Not to become more attractive for him, but to become more disciplined for you. Whether it's hitting the gym, eating cleaner, dressing better, sleeping deeper, make it your mission to become the healthiest version of yourself. Because a healed and focused you is magnetic. Not because of your appearance, but because of the energy you now carry. There's something deeply powerful about a person who turns heartbreak into hustle, pain into purpose, loss into legacy. While he thought you'd fall apart, you chose to rise stronger, wiser, and unrecognizable to the person you once were. He may have left thinking you'd crumble. Instead, you're becoming the version of yourself that even you once doubted was possible. This isn't about revenge, it's about rebirth. And it starts the moment you decide to level up, not for them, but for you. Let's be real. When someone leaves you for someone else, the curiosity becomes almost unbearable. You find yourself scrolling, clicking, lurking. You check their stories, their pictures, their posts. You look for signs. Is he happier? Is she prettier? Are they in love already? You fall into this silent obsession, hoping you'll find something that validates your pain or proves he made a mistake. But here's the truth. Every second you spend watching his life is a second stolen from building your own. You were never meant to beg for breadcrumbs of his new life. You were meant to build a life so rich, so full, and so powerful that you forget to check whether he's still watching. Because real healing doesn't happen through surveillance. It happens through self-work. Stalking keeps you stuck. It keeps your heart in the past, your mind in confusion, and your power in chains. You cannot rise while you're still kneeling at the altar of someone who walked away. Every time you peek into his world, you give him silent permission to rent space in your head. And the price? Your peace. Now imagine taking all of that mental energy, the overthinking, the wondering, the clicking, and turning it inward. Imagine channeling that obsession into creation. Start building your dream life. Your fitness, your passions, your routines, not because you're trying to impress him, but because you deserve to finally show up for you. You see, people don't regret who they leave behind in the moment. They regret who you become after they're gone. That version of you that no longer checks his page. That woman or man who is too focused, too healed, too elevated to be bothered with someone who couldn't see their worth. That's when regret creeps in for him. But by then, you'll be too far ahead to look back. This is the shift. Stop stalking the life he's building with someone else. Start constructing the life that makes you unstoppable. Let your focus become so intense, your progress so undeniable, that one day he types your name into a search bar and all he finds is someone he'll never have access to again. Bitterness is heavy. It clings to your soul like chains, dragging down your peace, your joy, your spirit. When someone leaves you for someone else, it's easy, almost natural, to become bitter, to walk around with a clenched heart and a hardened smile, to replay every betrayal in your head and let anger fester like poison. You might want him to feel the pain he caused, to suffer in the silence you now live with. But here's the truth. Bitterness keeps you bonded to the one who hurt you. Being unbothered, though, that's a different kind of power. That's freedom. Being unbothered doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've decided that their decisions no longer control your emotions. It means that you've outgrown the need for revenge. It means you no longer measure your peace by his presence or absence. Bitterness screams, you still have control over me. But being unbothered whispers, you lost access to me. Bitterness will have you engaging in petty battles, posting indirect messages, competing silently with a new person and living in the shadows of what used to be. But when you choose peace over pettiness, silence over spite, and growth over grudges, you take back your emotional power. Think of it this way. When you stay bitter, you're still connected, still reacting, still emotionally invested. But when you shift to being unbothered, you stop showing up for the drama. You become emotionally unavailable to chaos. You move differently. You glow differently. You start to walk with a quiet confidence that he can feel, even if you never say a word. The most dangerous person is not the loud one seeking attention. It's the calm one who no longer reacts. Because that calmness speaks of strength. It shows you're no longer controlled by your past who walked away. And ironically, that's when regret begins to settle in. For them, because now you're not broken, you're untouchable. So no, you're not going to let your heart rot with bitterness. You're going to rise, you're going to breathe. You're going to walk like someone who's unavailable for anything that threatens your peace. He expected you to break. Instead, you became unbothered, and that's more powerful than any revenge could ever be. After someone walks out of your life, especially when they leave you for someone else, your energy becomes fragile, your heart is exposed, your spirit feels drained, and your self-worth can feel like it's hanging by a thread. In that vulnerable state, every interaction matters. Every word, every person, every vibe you surround yourself with begins to shape your healing. That's why you must become ruthless about protecting your energy and intentional about elevating your circle. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. That means distancing yourself from people who feed off your pain. The ones who call just to gossip, just to dig deeper into your wounds, just to say, I told you so. It means cutting off the friends who use your heartbreak as entertainment. It means stepping away from environments that drain you, people who trigger you, and conversations that trap you in the past. Protecting your energy doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means guarding your peace like it's sacred, because it is. This is your rebuilding phase. And just like a construction site, only those with hard hats, those who are supportive, respectful, and uplifting, should be allowed anywhere near your space. Now is the time to elevate your circle. Surround yourself with people who don't just listen to your pain but speak life back into you. Be around those who see your potential even when you're doubting yourself. The ones who remind you who you are and push you to remember who you're becoming. People who don't just clap when you win, but sit beside you and hold you steady when you're crumbling. Choose friends who speak healing, not hatred. Choose company that promotes growth, not gossip. Choose energy that fuels your future, not your fear. Start spending time in places that make you feel inspired. Join that class. Start that hobby. Go where people are building, creating, evolving. Let yourself be surrounded by energy that is forward-focused, not stuck on what used to be. And most importantly, become that energy yourself. Be the kind of person who radiates peace, grace, confidence, and wisdom. Because when your energy shifts from chaos to calm, from brokenness to building, from needing to healing, everything around you begins to shift too. People may not understand your silence. They may not get why you're distant, but that's okay. You're not here to explain your healing. You're here to protect it. And in doing so, you're rising into a version of yourself that no longer settles for anything or anyone that costs your peace, that you may think you need closure, an explanation, a final conversation, something, anything to help you understand why he left, why he replaced you, why everything you built together suddenly meant nothing. But the truth is, closure isn't something they give. It's something you create. You don't need to beg for answers from someone who walked away from you without respect. You don't need to lower your voice or shrink your light just to be heard by someone who chose silence over communication. No, what you need is to let yourself speak. Because when someone leaves you, especially for someone else, they often expect you to fall apart. They expect tears, breakdown, insecurity. They expect you to watch from the sidelines as they move on. What they don't expect is for you to rise, quietly, gracefully, powerfully. So make your next move your loudest message. Build the life you were always meant to live, the one you may have paused or sacrificed for him. Go after that degree. Start that business, reinvent your style, fall in love with your solitude and glow like never before. Let your transformation be so undeniable, your progress so radiant that it speaks volumes without you having to say a single word. You don't need to tell him what he lost. He'll feel it when he sees the person you've become. The strength in your posture, the clarity in your eyes, the way you carry yourself like no one else's approval matters, that's when it hits. That's when regret creeps in. But by then you won't need his validation, you won't crave his apology. Because you'll be too focused on building an extraordinary life to care about a chapter that's already closed. And listen closely. Success doesn't always mean material gain. Sometimes the greatest form of success is peace. It's the smile that comes from within, the joy that radiates without a reason, the self-respect that glows from a soul that chose healing over bitterness, grace over vengeance, and growth over gossip. He may have left thinking you were replaceable, but the woman or man you're becoming, that version of you is unforgettable. So stop waiting for a moment of closure that may never come. Stop hoping he'll come back just to say he was wrong. Your life is not on pause. It's in motion. Let your wins be your words. Let your glow be your revenge. Let your success say everything he never stayed long enough to hear. One of the hardest parts of being left, especially for someone else, is the ache of unfinished conversations. The questions echo in your mind like a haunting whisper. Why wasn't I enough? When did it start? Was any of it real? You search for reasons, for apologies, for closure, because your heart still wants to make sense of something that never did. But here's the truth most people don't want to face. Closure is not a door someone else opens for you, it's one you close yourself. The longer you wait for him to come back and explain, the longer you stay chained to his choices. You keep hoping that one final talk will heal the wound, that he'll say all the right things to finally give you peace. But the kind of person who leaves you confused, abandoned, or replaced without warning rarely returns with clarity. Because if he had the emotional maturity to communicate honestly, he wouldn't have left the way he did. Closure doesn't come from his confession, it comes from your decision. The decision to stop needing answers that may never come. The decision to stop replaying every memory, every kiss, every lie, searching for where it all went wrong. The decision to stop wondering what she has that you... The decision to stop trying to fix something that was already breaking long before you noticed. Outgrowing the need for closure means understanding that sometimes people walk away not because you lacked something, but because they did. They lacked vision, they lacked patience, they lacked the depth to love you fully. And that is not your burden to carry. You don't need closure to move forward. You need courage. Courage to accept that you may never know why he chose someone else. Courage to understand that sometimes love ends without explanation. Courage to trust that this ending is actually the beginning of something far greater. And here's the most powerful part. Once you stop seeking closure, you start creating it. Every time you choose not to call, every time you ignore the urge to check his social media, every time you breathe through the pain without reaching for him, you are closing that door. Not with resentment, but with resolve. This is your life, not a story waiting on someone else's final chapter. You are the author. You decide when it's over. And once you outgrow the need for closure, you unlock the truest form of healing freedom, forgiveness. It's one of the hardest things to give, especially to someone who hurt you so deeply. When he left you for someone else, he didn't just walk away from the relationship. He walked away from the memories, the promises, the trust you built. He shattered the image of what you thought love was. And in the aftermath, forgiveness might feel like weakness, like surrender, like saying it's okay. But let's be clear, forgiveness is not approval, it's not permission, it's not about saying what he did was acceptable. Forgiveness is simply this, releasing yourself from the weight of what he did. Not for his sake, not so he can feel better, but so you can finally be free. Because every time you replay the betrayal, every time you harbor that rage, every time you let your peace be hijacked by the memory of him, you are still carrying him in your heart. And the one who left is still winning. Not because he's happy, but because you're still bound. Forgiveness is cutting that cord. It's saying, I may never get the apology I deserve, but I refuse to let that keep me from peace. It's choosing to move forward without the baggage of bitterness weighing you down. And no, it doesn't happen all at once. Forgiveness is a process, it's raw. Some days you'll feel fine, and the next day you'll ache like it just happened. It's okay, forgive again, and again, and again, until the day comes when you think of him and feel nothing but calm. Not love, not hate, just peace. You don't have to tell him you forgive him. You don't have to reach out. Forgiveness doesn't always need a conversation. It needs a choice, a decision to no longer let the pain dictate your future. Because when you don't forgive, you stay stuck in a cycle of anger. You replay the past, you compare yourself to the one he left you for, you try to make sense of the senseless. But when you do forgive, that's when your healing speeds up. That's when your heart starts to lighten. That's when you reclaim your power. Let the past stay where it belongs, behind you. Let the hurt shape you but never define you. Let forgiveness become the key that unlocks the door to your own peace, clarity, and liberation. You are not forgiving because he deserves it. You are forgiving because you deserve peace more than he deserves to still have power over your emotions. So let him go. Let him have the silence he chose. Let him build whatever life he thought he wanted, because you are building something far more powerful, yourself. This isn't about getting back at him. This is about getting back to you, to the version of yourself that knows her worth, that doesn't chase, that doesn't beg, that doesn't shrink to fit into someone else's idea of love. You don't rise by tearing others down. You rise by rebuilding yourself so fiercely that no one who ever doubted you can recognize you anymore. And maybe one day he'll look back and realize what he lost. But by then, it won't matter. Because you'll be so far ahead, he won't even know how to reach you. This is your season of rebirth. Let heartbreak be the fire, and let the woman who walks out of those flames be unforgettable.